So we just got back from seeing 10 Cloverfield Lane,
Yeah.
and yeah, not really what I was expecting it to be.
No.
Uh,
They marketed it completely so that you would think it was a sequel to the original Cloverfield,
yeah,
when in fact it's not a sequel at all to anything.
exactly.
It's just a brand new movie that they came up with
Yeah,
to get people to watch it.
like the trailer had the bunker shaking, so you thought it was like the big monster, back from the first one, because you don't know how the first one ended it ended open ended. The monster, you don't know what happened after the nuclear strike. So like, I, you go in
Yeah, you
thinking
would
that
assume
yeah,
that it's the sequel.
yeah,
And instead it's about some pervert and some like sort of love infatuation with one of the main characters.
it was good though. Like it
It
was a
was
good thriller. It was good. Like
It was a good movie.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't have been named 10 Cloverfield Lane. Shouldn't have Cloverfield in it at all.
No.
Because it didn't have anything to do with the first Cloverfield. It had no relation. It didn't mention anything about the first one at all.
They could have chosen any name.
Yeah, but
Any name at all.
exactly whatever they could have called it, but it wouldn't have probably got as much people in the theater.
Exactly.
Because I mean, people were going in there thinking for a direct sequel.
Exactly. But it's not.
It lets me down. I wanted to see what happened to that monster from the first one. The first one was awesome.
Yeah, you can't just make a movie and then end it like that and then not get back to it,
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna have the Cloverfield in the name, you gotta continue from that first Cloverfield. It just makes sense.
Exactly.
I really wanted to know what happened to that one. That what happened there, because that was a good. It was really good because they couldn't kill it. They were trying everything they could. The stealth bombers, the tanks, and I wanted to know if the nuclear strike did it, if it killed it. But you won't get that answer in this one. You'll get a whole different bunch of answers there. I mean, a bunch of new questions, new answers.
Yeah, it's definitely not what I was expecting at all.
But one thing at the end, where you mentioned about the bottle, the Molotov cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah,
Like,
so
what was the issue with that?
it's completely unrealistic that she's hanging out of her car and throwing a Molotov cocktail at a diagonal into the sky at this, I think it was a ship.
Yeah, it was the ship. Yeah. It was like a vagina.
Into this very small opening to this ship.
The alien
and
vagina.
you have a split second to throw it, and you have to get it exactly into there, and it just completely blows it up.
Like
from just a tiny little bottle of alcohol, it just this blows up this huge fucking ship, and it crashes and falls.
Yeah, it was like a really cheap Independence Day, but just like a small bottle and that thrown up into the middle destroys it.
Yeah.
What would have made more sense if the gas was coming out and then she threw the bottle out the window that was lit and then it caught the gas and then the gas ignited all the way up into the spaceship because the gas was coming at her and then the ship would have dropped her like it did.
Yeah.
And then when it dropped her, she was perfectly fine. Like the car was perfectly normal. It was like right side, like it just landed like this when the car was held like
exactly.
being held at an angle and it fell like that. Okay. But then she didn't have any bruises, anything on her.
Nothing.
The next shot, she was like, her face was perfectly fine.
No scratches.
She kind of came out of the car a little disoriented, but that was a far fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no scratches.
Wouldn't the airbag have gone off?
Maybe. It was an old truck, though.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, just the logic
but
there.
But if it was that easy to kill one of those alien ships, why were they still fighting in this huge war?
Yeah, they made it seem like there's this epic fight, and I'm sure the helicopters, the tanks, when they shot their missiles, the missiles I think ignite and blow up. So you think it would, somehow,
exactly.
I mean.
Or out of all the people, they would figure out, okay, let's try to throw something into that mouth, and if it's that fucking simple, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Like, I'm sure at some point around the world, if they're attacking the whole Earth, that when that thing opens up to devour people or something, the army, whatever, Navy, somebody would have shot up at it with some kind of rockets or something. It would have been done. Like, it just, it just kind of seemed, I don't know. I just wanted something more for that.
It seemed like they just wanted it to end. Yeah, I was thinking that she was gonna die pretty much.
Yeah.
'Cause how could you escape something like that?
I thought it was pretty good because like you didn't know like how the
Yeah,
how
but
the
no,
hell
but
was she gonna get out of it?
but they ended
Shit.
it with just like such a small little thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Then the whole ship blew up.
Like
and,
if it was gonna end, like it should have ended. I don't know, differently.
like, in the ending, she's driving off, and then you see there's a storm or something, and there's lightning, and it lights up the sky, and you see the big alien ship, a mothership or another ship, and it's like, again, it ends with that kind of open-ended thing. Like, okay, are we defeating them? You hear on the radio that they're winning the war. They took back the southern borders or something like that. So they're winning. You know, we're winning against them in that area. But again, it ended open-ended. So are we going to win the fight or not? But then who really cares? Because if there's going to be there wasn't a sequel to the first one. So the third Cloverfield that comes out, it would, it's going to have the title Cloverfield, but it's not going to be related to the first two. So what does it matter? What does it? The first one.
It could, but who knows?
I mean, they could do it, but I mean, they didn't do it with the first one. They didn't make a sequel for that one, so why make a sequel for the next one?
Yeah.
It's just odd to me. It doesn't make sense. Or at least if you wanted to have some relation to the first one, like that alien or prehistoric creature, wherever it came from out of the water or it fell from the sky. They didn't really say that, but I think it came from the water in the first one.
Yeah, it did.
It did. I believe it did. That they didn't make any relation to the first one. So like if they wanted to set it up that way, I'm sure they would have wrote it that way and mentioned the first one or the situations in the first one and how it relates to the second. Or it all comes together. It didn't do that. This was just a whole story all by itself with Cloverfield in the name. It brought you in there thinking, all right, what's going on?
This is a sequel.
Yeah, this is a sequel. Are they going to defeat that big monster? The little things it let out. Did they do more than just kill people or what's?
Yeah, and that's why it was good marketing on their part, but it was just completely false advertising. because you're expecting a sequel to the first one where there's this huge Godzilla-like monster, right?
Yeah.
And the supposed sequel, in the trailer, they don't show you much. The only things they show you are three people trapped in a bunker.
Yeah, and then
with it shaking really hard.
Yeah, and John Goodman saying, "Don't go out there. You can't go out there." So I'm thinking the little creatures.
So you're thinking that the huge monster is going to be like if they, if she looks out the window, you're thinking that this huge monster is going to be like in the distance.
That
you
or
can see.
That or those little creatures it let out. Would be all around, maybe doing something. I don't know what, but
yeah, exactly.
And I thought maybe the region in the beginning. I know the city everything was normal, so I was thinking maybe that area wasn't attacked yet by the creature or didn't come there yet. That maybe the war was still raging on and she was in an area where it was normal, and she was getting ready to go out maybe and leave because maybe the war was coming. The monsters or the monster and the little things were coming to her. So I kind of thought maybe that's what was going on. It was maybe one of the last areas or something that didn't get attacked, and then and then she gets hit on her way driving. Oh yeah, then the thing was like that was the same truck you believe at the gas station, the one that John Goodman has,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, because the headlights look very similar, and you don't know if he was. You'd have to assume it's the same truck, and you'd have to assume that he saw her and ran her off the road,
right? To
possibly kidnap her and do whatever with her in his creepy bunker.
Yeah, he had some kind of like family idea thing that he wanted like create or keep down there or something, but like. What was I gonna say? That about the when he you don't know if he did it on purpose or
exactly.
I mean he says it's an accident and with the attack, but I mean was that his intention the whole time because he got gas? If that was the same guy, he was getting gas there at the gas station. I mean it could have been a coincidence, but maybe he was thinking of abducting her the whole time, smashed into her, then was like, oh crap, aliens are attacking. Let me just take her. I was gonna do this anyway, and then go down to the bunker. I don't really. It was good in that sense. It was like a thriller. You didn't know what his true intentions were at times.
Yeah,
it kept flip-flopping. It was like he would do something kind of nice, and then he'd be kind of a monster, and it kept going back and forth.
But they don't really give you any definite answers as to why he did those things or what had happened in the past.
Right.
Which is the kind of like frustrating part. Because it just leaves those questions open, and they'll never get answered because he dies.
Right. Yeah. As you realize that Emmett, the other guy with the beard down there, he said he fought his way to get in. He rushed to get in, and later on, John Goodman's character says it was the way it was supposed to be. Now,
Yeah.
after he shot and killed Emmett, so like his intention was to be down there with her alone. For pretty much.
You'd have to assume, yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted a sequel to that monster movie. That creature. I wanted to know more about it. It was really freaky. They couldn't kill it. I mean, this movie, it was good in a way, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And it shouldn't have been called Cloverfield.
No, definitely
It really
not.
shouldn't.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't a sequel to anything.
It had its points where it kept you on edge a little bit. But again, it wasn't that sequel to that monster movie that everybody wanted.
And plus, the monster that they showed, the little, I don't know what you would call it, but it didn't even seem to be that strong at all. Because when it reached out its mouth,
pulled off the mask?
And pulled off the mask, I was expecting because it's plastic.
Yeah.
I was expecting the plastic to be like crushed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just pulled it off
it just pulled off the mask.
It stuck to it and pulled it.
And then nothing happened. You'd think it would be because it was
he disappeared
because it was strong enough to lift up the car.
Yeah.
It was strong enough to lift the car, but it's not strong enough to rip off the door and pull her out or anything.
Yeah, that thing was. Yeah, you're right. That was some good points. One thing is weird. It seemed like it was a dog. Like it was smelling maybe under the car, and it had that mouth within a mouth. Maybe it couldn't see good. Maybe it's some kind of weird creature.
Maybe.
And then the way it smelled. Remember, it didn't smell, but it stuck its head through a doggy door.
Yeah.
And then it opened up again and opened up the mouth. The inner mouth opened up. I don't know if it was smelling or it was doing something. But then it decided it wanted to go in there. It tried to go in there. And she was going out.
But
obviously.
it didn't make any sense because when she was looking for the keys, and it was sticking its head through.
Yeah.
It's she was making a bunch of noise, so wouldn't it have heard her?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it true?
If it's such a, maybe it's not such a developed being, but you have to assume that it is with all their advanced technology, that it would be able to hear better or smell better or something,
Yeah, I think it went by smell so much, or something. Whatever that inner mouth was that opened did some, allowed it to detect her. I think.
Well, no, because when she
ran, it noticed her. Right?
No, when she locked the car to stop the car alarm from going off.
She locked it.
It heard it, or she stopped the alarm from going off.
Oh, she pushed the clicker?
It heard it. Yeah, it heard it.
Oh yeah.
And it ran off in the direction. So, wouldn't you have heard
her making noise in there?
Who was right next to you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. She did do some whimpering or something, right? Because she was nervous and it was in there. Yeah. Well, I think that's why maybe it did hear that, and that's why it pursued it to go in there.
Yeah.
It tried going in.
But I was thinking that it was just gonna go after her. I wasn't expecting it to just go away.
Yeah, there's some times where it disappeared. It seemed like.
Yeah.
It was weird. When it pulled off the gas mask, she shut the door in the truck, and then it was gone. And I'm like, how come it's still not trying to get her, or what's it doing? Because there was just a shot, and then you saw there was nothing going on. It wasn't attacking anything, her or anything.
Yeah.
And it did it later on. She was running, and then it didn't show up, and then all of a sudden at another point, I remember it showed up. It's kind of scares you. It makes a noise and starts running. It had that factor to it, but I just didn't understand where it went for a bit. It just kind of disappeared. When she came out of the bunker, because you really wanted to know what was going on outside the bunker, that kept you, that thriller aspect to it. You were intrigued. And then when she went up there, and she realized, everything's fine or whatever, there's no poisonous gas for the time being. I thought that was a blimp. You see the spaceship in the distance. So I'm like, oh, it was a blimp the whole time passing by. And then it ended up coming closer and opening up and expanding and ended up being an alien ship. I thought that was pretty cool, that part. It surprised me. I was like, wow, so there really was aliens in that sense. It was mentioned and you were like, that just sounds nuts. It was mentioned a couple times and it made you chuckle because it just sounded really absurd. And he kept talking, John Goodman's character kept talking about a war with the other nations like on Earth, so it sounded like it'd be more realistic, like plausible. But then when the alien ship dropped something, which was that creature, I thought that was pretty. It had me kind of like, oh, what was that? It's coming, and it was like that part kept me a little on edge because I'm like, what did it drop?
Yeah.
So I like that part at least.
But by the end, I had totally given up on the whole alien
Yeah.
concept because I didn't think that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because when I went into the movie, I was expecting a huge monster.
Mhm.
Then it seemed more about the relationship between these three people in this bunker.
Yeah.
And this guy's crazy past and psychotic moments, and so I gave up on the whole monster thing / alien thing.
Okay.
And then in the end, at the very end, it's like a bunch of aliens. So I'm like,
It's like back to the aliens again.
yeah, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, like I gave up on the alien, the creature from the first one too. I felt the same way after a while. I was like, it's not going to happen as badly as I wanted to. I thought maybe she was going to escape, and then there was going to be a war going on with the alien from the first one. They were like trying to blast it with helicopters again, some kind of new warhead they used or something on it. I thought she was going to go outside to see a war of that going on. I thought maybe it was going to continue. It was going to continue to a third movie. Like, you would see that going on in a war, and somehow they were going to, like, bring the monster in at the end or the final act of it, and from there build it up into a third movie. But that wasn't the case. So that's when I realized that there was nothing related to the alien when she went outdoors. The original one from the first one, that's when I just knew it was not happening.
Yeah.
And that creature had a lot of potential, and I don't know why they didn't build on that or didn't continue it. I mean, I think it was different writers and stuff like that, and a different director and all that. So I mean, and I know I think Abrams produced it again, right? He did some part of it again.
I think so, yeah.
Whatever. But the thing was like, don't call it Cloverfield if it's not going to have a relation to the first Cloverfield. It's just you thinking you're getting something from the first one, something related to that. There was no correlation, nothing mentioned. Dan had some theories about like it could be.
I was thinking that it was kind of like a parallel to the first one. So whereas it was the first one took place in New York City, I was thinking that this took place in the countryside somewhere, and took place in the exact same time. The space of the first one, except just a different place. But then once I heard that it was like air attacks and stuff like that, like infections through the air, it was like, okay, there's no way this is related to the first one because that never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, and I don't know when. And this kind of brings me up to another topic. I don't know when. John Goodman's character would have heard that like the aliens were attacking or that someone was attacking.
Oh yeah, that satellite
because
radio thing. But he didn't really mess with it that much.
No, but that was in his
bunker.
In his bunker.
Oh, maybe
he was out when he heard of the attacks.
Yeah.
Because he ran into her car.
It was probably in the car radio.
Maybe.
I'm thinking that was the only way.
But I mean,
because she was on the radio too. Oh no, that was at the end.
Yeah, no, that was at the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, like, you would think that, like, she has a smartphone, like, something would pop up on her smartphone.
Yeah.
Like some sort of alert.
An alert, aliens are attacking. It's a text.
Like some sort of, like, invasion of the country,
Yeah, like
an
Amber Alert, I think.
You'd think something like that would, like, pop up.
Yeah.
Possibly, if something like that happened.
I don't know. It's just not what you think it is, and that just bums me out. It just bums me out. So I think that. Is there anything else you want to touch on with it?
No, at least make a sequel for this one.
No, I don't even want you to make a sequel for this one. I want you to make a sequel for the first one. I want you to make the third movie, if it's a third Cloverfield, to make a sequel to the first one and then make a fourth one for the sequel to the second. Do that, please. Do that. Wrap it up. Don't leave it open-ended. You left the first one open-ended. You left this one open-ended. I know they said they're winning the war, but again, you saw the ships in the sky.
Or
you don't know if they totally win the war. It's open-ended. She drives off and you see the ship.
Or just make a third Cloverfield that has nothing to do with the first or the second.
That's what they're going to do. That's what it's going to be.
And then just never answer anybody's questions and just keep having questions for everybody.
And they're probably
Keep bringing up questions.
they'll probably know no one's gonna see the third one because it's gonna have Cloverfield. They'll probably call it like Clover World and just like totally just have the word Clover, so you're thinking it's related to the other two somehow, but it's like totally.
Yeah, it's like they
just not.
finally took over like the entire world with the aliens.
They're like, no, we can't call it Cloverfield. Everyone's gonna be upset, so we just have to use the word Clover and try to make
or
it
like
sound-
they make a sequel to the first one, but they don't call it Cloverfield. They call it something completely different.
It's actually a good sequel, but it's like not in the realm of Cloverfield. You're like, wait, is this a sequel to Cloverfield? Because it seems like it is. It's like the same monster. They mention the same attacks. It's like everything they mention.
It's like
you know what
same
I mean?
characters, everything.
Yeah. Well, they all got nuked in the end. He was under the bridge with his girlfriend. But it's like they use the same footage from that one, the Cloverfield, but they don't even call it Cloverfield. It's like they just name it something totally different. But it's actually a really good movie. It's like the sequel you wanted to Cloverfield, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be something ridiculous. But yeah, good job on misleading the American people, possibly the world.
Yeah, seriously.
By calling it Cloverfield. You bummed me out. You bummed me out very bad. It was a Friday night here. Looking forward to it. So much. I'm like, that alien, I want to know what happens. Did the nuclear strike kill it? And you just destroyed my Friday night.
I was actually looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah.
So
Every time I saw a preview, I'm like, I watched the first one. I was watching clips on YouTube again. I was like, the stealth bomber didn't throw it in. Is the nuclear strike gonna throw it in? It must have some like thick prehistoric skin. Or I thought it was gonna be something really creative and original with that monster. Just a bigger story, a cooler story, somehow, some way. But it was just a big letdown.
It was just 3 people trapped in a bunker with some crazy guy.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Not cool.
Small cast of people.
Yeah, like
one
4
location.
people
Yeah.
in the entire movie.
Yeah, it must have been the easiest casting session. They're just like 4 people showed up and they just casted them all. John Goodman walked in by accident. He was just like, "Well, where am I?" And they were like, "You got the part." It was just something simple as that. It was just he was lost at the time of casting. You walked in and that's how it goes sometimes.
The other people that nobody's ever heard of and him, and then they're all good to go.
Yeah. Well, that's I guess our
that's our review.
Our random rant about the movie, whatever you want to call it.
Cloverfield Lane.
It's just the way we felt when we left. It's just the honest truth.
Felt betrayed.
Yeah, that's a good word. Betrayed. But you did a good job with it.
Yeah.
It was done well. Just shouldn't have been called Cloverfield.
Yeah, no, something different.
All right, guys, we're out now.
Peace out.
It's Jay and Dan. Peace.
Peace out.